Most men don't lose their way all at one time. They drift. It's because pressure builds up, expectations start to shift, and nobody stops to decide who they're becoming. Who told you something like that was necessary? Life happens to us all. Circumstances happen to us all. Money and finances, it starts to scream, and then the fear of lack starts to build in you as a provider of a family. Before long, our circumstances start to dictate our attitude. You drift into a man you never thought you would become. It's like in your life, you'll say, I'm never going to be like that guy. Maybe you even become your old man. How do I know this happens? Let me look straight in the camera and say, because I was that guy. I used to be you. I'm here to tell you that because it's not a concept. It is my reality. I used to be you. And when you find out who you are, it's not when things are easy or when things are going well. It's not when life is cooperating with you. It's not when everything is good, but it's when everything is stripped away. It's when you're in a pressure moment. It's when circumstances are screaming loud at you and life is happening. So I'll ask you this question. Who do you want to be? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Man vs. Marriage. We'll be right back. Welcome back to another episode. Is I, your humble servant, the Q Dog, a.k.a. the Q Diggity Dog. That's right. I'm rocking and rolling on this solo episode because I'm here and I need you to know something. I need you to hear me where I'm at. I need you to hear me because what we're talking about today is who do you want to be? Now, here is the beauty. Here's the beauty. When I discovered who I am is not who I have to be, it inspired me. It changed me. Maybe even my physiology. That's a big word for the Q Dog. Maybe even my physiology changed. And I know that might sound grandiose, but it is true. When I realized that I didn't have to be a disappointment to myself, that I didn't have to continue to fail my family and have my priorities out of whack. When I figured out that the man I wanted to become was not who I was being. And it's important because I've told you many times, for you longtime listeners, for you new guys, welcome to the program. But for you longtime listeners, life is about who you are becoming. The standard is what? The standard is excellence, not perfection. But it's about who you are becoming. Now, look, one of my key philosophies is to get out there and to live on purpose for a purpose. So what does living on purpose even mean? That means you decide who you want to be, and then you make the necessary changes. You challenge yourself, hold yourself accountable in becoming that man. That's who we are. That's who we are becoming. And Ed Milet says it really well, and I will continue to repeat this until I go to the next life. He says it like this. When I get to heaven and The Lord introduces me to the man I was meant to be. I want to be an identical twin. If you're anything like me, you've got some catching up to do. But allow the past to be a professor and let's move forward. Here's the thing. It's drift versus decision. It's drift versus being intentional with your time. It's drift versus living on purpose. So which one are you? It's likely that if you have come upon this episode, you're trying to find the man that you thought you would be. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you have challenges in your own life as a professional. Maybe it's just as a man personally, and you're looking at how can I lead my family? You're looking at how can I lead my home? How can I build trust under my roof? Well, you're in the right place. This is where we find out, who are you asking these people to follow? Who are you asking these people to submit under your authority? Because if you don't know who you are and who you are becoming, it is absolutely not appropriate to ask people to follow you because you don't know where you're going. So I want to challenge you with this. Drift or decisive action is a choice. It's a choice, okay? We all choose each day who we are becoming. We choose the standard that we want to live. And the thing is that you can do it all nice and pretty. Everything can be fantastic when people are around. But the real you shows up with that internal conversation. The real you shows up when no one is looking. What are you doing? That's what's important. So I want to talk to you about your identity. It's being, how can I say it? Your identity is something that you choose. You don't discover. It doesn't get revealed to you unless you are living a life without intention. Now, here's a caveat. Here's something that I find it's vital. If you are a man of faith, and I myself am a Christian, and Jesus Christ is a very, very important aspect of my life. Matter of fact, it's paramount. And so for me, when I was deciding who I wanted to be, there are a number of things I did, but I wanted to align my identity with who Jesus said that I am. So how do you do that? You ask. You ask, and he teaches you on who you are becoming. And so that gives me a true north. The other part of that is I was working out back in Lancaster, California. I was at my favorite gym in the world, Physical Junkie. It was Get It, I believe, at the time. But my friend PJ Bowen has a great private gym out there. And so I was working out. I was listening. I just got introduced to the podcast world. And I was listening to Jay Ferrugia, Renegade Radio. And he was talking to a guy about an experience that he had. And it's called the funeral experience. Maybe you've heard me talk about this before. I encourage you to listen up because it's no less impactful the 50th time I've told it than the first time. And so the funeral experience was this. He said, hey, imagine yourself on the day of your funeral. You're laying there in the box. All of this I'll paraphrase because I don't remember all the words, but that's me, Mr. Technicality. Imagine yourself, you're there in the box. The people who matter the most to you are taking turns at the microphone talking about what impact you made on their life. This is who Quincy was to me during his lifetime. And so I think about the people that are most important to me, which would be my wife, my children, my inner circle, my close family. I hope my parents don't have to bury me, but if my parents are there, and my friends, my circle of my friend group, anybody that's important to me, that's in my close circle, I would love to have them there. I started to imagine the things that I would want them to say about me. And so I started making a list. And it's really one of the things that's very big for me is to be a man of my word, is to have integrity, is to be a leader, is to be someone who makes you feel special, someone who is attentive to your needs. So I started somebody who's loyal and doesn't operate on these quid pro quo ulterior motives, those kinds of things. And so back then I made a list and I came back to present day and the instructions were this. Okay, if you change nothing and you just live your life the way you're living, will you become that man? And I had to be honest with myself. I wouldn't. Was I someone that my wife would say she could count on? Was I someone that had my priorities straight and I was diving headfirst into my first ministry, which we all have, which is our family? Was I a man that was showing up for my kids? Because if I wasn't, and which I wasn't, I had some things to change in my life. And it's likely you do as well. See, at that time I was chasing, words of affirmation outside of the home because my wife and I were butting heads. Life was difficult. We had 8 kids. At one point in our life before we had 8, we had 5 kids under 5 in diapers. And so there's no school that'll help you for that. We were in financial duress. We had all kinds of health issues going on in our family. And so my wife and I loved each other, but we didn't necessarily like each other because we were in survival mode. So it got to the point where we were like just trying to survive the day and we weren't really connecting. We didn't realize at that point that what I call now we're home team. Nobody can relate to what we're going through but us, and we're the ones who can help make it better. And so I had a radio show going on. I was trying to start a clothing line. I was thought I had to become a pastor in order to just be somebody who mattered. I was trying to coach football. I was working. I was doing all these different things, trying to become somebody that mattered, trying to become somebody that was good enough in my own house when I already was. So my kids didn't necessarily need more and more money, more and more and more money, I should try to say in English. What they needed was my time, which is not renewable. They needed me to prioritize where they were in life and to become the man I promised my wife I would be on our wedding day. And look, my wife had some promises that she wasn't keeping as well because of survival mode. And so when I did that funeral exercise, I said, dude, I've got to make some changes. I thought I couldn't live if I wasn't a football coach. I retired. I thought I couldn't live if I wasn't a pastor. I decided I wasn't going to be a pastor for now. Didn't know if I ever wanted to do it. And then I turned my priorities towards my marriage and towards my family, and my life changed dramatically. And I'm not overstating it. It changed dramatically. So fast forward 16 years, and we are in a place, even with the hard times, because you go through seasons in life, even at the hard times, our relationship is so much stronger than it ever would have been. And it is a relationship with intention. And so our connections are different. Our intimacy is different. Our sex life is different. Our values are different. And we prioritize us and our family. And then from there, we make an impact outside of our home because of attending to our first ministry and pouring ourselves in it, which is our family. So you got to figure out, who do I want to be? Discover that. Once you discover that, I encourage you to write it down. I should go back and look at the notebooks I had from that time because I am certain it is there. Ask yourself right now, if nothing changes, will I become that man? Answer it truthfully. If you start justifying why you would or why you wouldn't, you're not going to become him. And you have changes to make. What values have you created within your life, and do your kids know your value system? Do they see you talk about it and not live it, or do they see you talk about it and live it? If you were anything like I was, the answer is no and no. So I created a value system. So I'm here to ask you this. Who did you think you would be at this point in your life and your relationship? And I'm going to ask you not to blame your wife for who you are. I'm a big advocate. I demand this of myself. Focus on what you can affect, Quincy Moran. That's what matters. Focus on what you can affect, especially in a healthy way. Some people say it like this: control what you can control. Ask yourself, reflect, and say, hey, where have I drifted, instead of being decisive and deciding who I want to be? If nothing changes, who am I becoming? What are the standards? What standard am I living my life according to? Is it a standard of excellence? Or is it only perfection will do because of something that happened in your childhood that you need freedom from? And you use perfection as a reason to procrastinate. Therefore, you don't get started and you blame other people. Maybe you're the one day guy. Someday, one day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. What non-negotiables can you put in your life that get you on the path? And if you decided, like I had to, that I wanted emotional control, so have you become the gatekeeper of those emotions? And I say it's excellence and it's not perfection because I'm by far not a perfect man. Even today, before recording this episode, significant challenges due to autism, heart-wrenching. But as the leader of my family, I must continue on, and I'm encouraging you to do the same. You must continue on. When I got started, it was the define what it is and then redesign it. Because remember, who you are is not who you have to be. And let me reiterate this part in closing. I'm not telling you something that I heard. I'm not telling you something that I read in a book someone else wrote. I'm coming from a place of authority built through experience, because what I'm giving you is a testimony. If you're not familiar with testimonies, you've never been to church, this is where people stand up and they talk about the adversity that they've been through and who they've become and how blessed they are that God helped walk them through that situation. And they can look back at all the things that they learned. They can look at life as a lesson, this journey they're on, and then they can utilize that to encourage other people that what you thought may not be possible can actually become your reality. That's what a testimony is. And that's what I'm giving to you. I'm telling you here, we all have a testimony. What day What minute, what moment does your new direction start? Let it be today. Let it be today, brother. I'm here. I can help you. Because I used to be you. Another thing that Ed Milet says, and I will close with this. You are most equipped to help the people you used to be. Whatever you have been through, bro, whatever you have been through, it has happened for you, and it is an opportunity for you to turn it into a testimony and help people. It's not all for nothing. I don't know where your circumstances are. I don't know where you are in life. I don't know how you stumbled upon this podcast. I can tell you it is not by mistake. You are here for a reason. And that reason is because you want to become the man you thought you would be. You want to find him. Welcome home, brother. This is where we're at. How can I help you? What can I do to help you? You want more information on what we do? What we do, baby! And go to QuincyMoran.com. Check out everything we're doing there. You can email me, Quincy at Manvsmarriagepodcast.com. It'll get straight to me. Let me know what I can do to help. Listen, you may not think it's possible, but I know from experience. And I started this podcast with this particular thought. If all that has gone on between Jeannie and I, if all the adversity that we have faced, and my God, help us, it has been a lot of adversity. If we can make it, you can make it if you are willing. So if you are, come on over. Let's get this thing done. What moment will you mark as your starting point? That's it for this episode. I'm your host, Quincy Moran, a.k.a. The Q Dog, a.k.a. self-titled The Q Diggity Dog. Thank you for listening. I look forward to hearing from you. We're going to come get the next one. The Q Dog is out.